Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to see you here. If you are tuned in, we had a little bit of a break this week, and we've got something special today. But before we get started, let me just tell you, normally you hear me talk about my partnership and my sponsorship with Five Star Guitars. I'm so blessed and excited to share with you somebody that means more to me than anybody in the music community in Portland, Oregon. Guy helped me not only grace the stages, but he helped me get this show off the ground. So let me introduce to you my friend and hero, Joff Metz of Five Star Guitars. Joff, how you doing, pal?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great, man. It's good to see you. You're there. You're there at Five Star. You're at Five Star right now.
So it seems to be a little bit of a trouble with the sound. No worries, we'll get through this.
Okay.
I'll read your lips.
That's okay. You don't need to hear me. I just want to let's begin by talking a little bit about Five Star Guitars and this honor that you got this week.
Talk about Five Star Guitars. Happy to, Kevin. The thing of it is, I don't want to make it all about my business, but we had this thing happen, and I told you a bunch about it, but NAM, the National Association of Music Merchants, they are the trade group that kind of oversees and represents musical instrument manufacturing and distribution. And as a retail store, that's kind of where we fit in. They give out some awards. They do this thing where they take submissions from shops all over the world, and they come up with 100 dealers that kind of represent best practices, and in terms of not only working in the industry but also working in their communities. And so we've been in that for a while. I think every year since 2014 we've been in this top 100, which is super cool, and it's a great group of folks. But this year we were named Dealer of the Year, the most prestigious honor in all of musical instrument retail. And I get it that not everybody reads those magazines, probably nobody but us, but it's such a big deal. And the people that have won this in the past, like last year was Cosmos, my buddy Mark's place in Canada, but it's a huge business and been around for a long time. And the year before there was Andertons in the UK, and they're a fantastic shop, and they're super cool guys. But in both cases, those are businesses that are much larger. We're one store that is locally owned and operated here in Beaverton. And so, the fact that the industry would look at us, in that light, in comparison with all those folks, and in a year like this when things were so crazy for us, I've told you, in late March, we had to furlough all of our employees. We weren't sure what was going to happen. We were shut down for a while. It was just my partners and I. And then, through a lot of support from, people all over, and, luckily our online sales were good, so that kind of stemmed the loss. But things really picked up, and we worked really hard, and the staff was fantastic, and there was so much support for us. And so, last Thursday, we went to this award show, and online like this, and I remember we were nominated for another category. We didn't win, and it went to some friends of ours, and that was cool. It was just nice to be invited to the dance.
Yeah.
But when this came up for the end of it, it was oh, we've been nominated, and I didn't think that we were going to win. I just thought well, that's progress. We got nominated for the big award.
Yeah.
And then so during that time, I didn't even think well, maybe I should prepare a few remarks. Maybe I should think about, what I would say. And I think that they really caught me genuinely just so excited that I've read the quote, and it included, "I'm at a loss for words," but I like to think just purely out of excitement. But yeah, anyway, it's a really big deal to us. It means a lot, and it's pretty exciting to just know that we're going in the right direction, or at least they think we are.
Yeah. I know that our audio is a little bit funky, but I was going to ask you.
Oh, I can hear you now. I don't know
Okay.
what's happening with them.
Okay, cool. There are some people that are in the chat that have talked about how much they love 5-star. I got to tell you, the partnership that we've had together. Cheryl Bland says we love 5-star, as does Julie Jockums. It's nice to see that our friends in England, James Jelbig are there. I want to talk about our partnership.
Zach Blades.
Yeah. You guys, 5-star has been with me helping sponsor the show from the beginning. Since in May when I started the show, I loved having something to do with the community, right? I wanted to be able to sort of partner with people that have influenced me, which is what the show is all about, which is definitely what our next guest is all about. But
sure.
But you came to me and said, we'd like to be able to support you, and it meant so much to me, And I wanted to maybe I've talked a little bit in past episodes about people going to this link. They can hit this link down below right now and hit if they go to 5starguitars.com/all-access-live and enter the promo code. There you go. There are 5 pages of gig bags and guitar cases and strings and tuners and everything else that you can get a discount on. And there's no sales tax, right? In your store.
No, there's no sales tax.
But you have some other cool stuff this week, dude. You were exclusive dealer for these EVH guitars. Some of these really amazing limited edition Eddie Van Halen guitars.
Yeah. Well, things have been really cool, and there's been so much interest recently in guitars, in general, and we happened, we were working for years on trying to get the stuff that we thought was really cool and, a nice mix of new and used and all that kind of stuff. But it's just been so exciting. One, just to still be in business. Two, to have it, really pick up. The biggest thing for me this year has been the ability for us to bring our staff back.
Yeah.
That was huge. It was difficult, because those guys, we realized that, that we should let them go and try to let them get unemployment and do the best they can for their families, because we didn't know what was going to go on. We knew the governor had shut things down, and it was really difficult. And, you can imagine you're just losing sleep, and that you got to talk to these guys in the morning. So we offered, we said, well, hey, here's what we have to do, and here's what we think is going to be best. We're going to pay you through the end of the day, but if you want to leave now, we certainly would understand. And I swear, everybody stuck around to the end of their shift, and that was I don't know, it really meant a lot, because we take it seriously, the people that work here, it's not just us and our business. It's all these people that make that happen, and so to be able to bring everybody back on, and you can imagine the excitement after having won this award. It was just incredible. But round about that time, as we were starting to bring our employees back, you started doing your show, right. And we thought it was super cool, and we're watching it, and I just thought, in a time where people can't get together the way that they had just weeks before that, that you were doing something that people could tune in on, and they could chat like this, and it just seemed like such a cool opportunity for us to contribute to this new community that now wasn't just us playing a show together in Portland or coming to see you in one place. Now this was people all over the world. We wanted to be a part of that, and we wanted to help you, and we thought it was really cool what you were doing, and so we just kind of talked as how can we help you? So yeah,
it has been incredibly supportive, man. I think my favorite thing is just the community connection, and so for those of you that are out there that are guitarists or wanting to play guitar, please get out there and support local. I love that you've got your branding there, your shirt and your mug. But our next guest,
shamelessly, bro. I don't want to make it all
But our next guest, he's a huge fan of the show. I know he's got some promotion too.
I'm a huge fan of his.
As am I. So maybe as being his fan, you want to introduce my guest, and again, thank you. I'll be saying goodbye to you when we do that.
All right. I'll cue it up here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the man of the hour. He's a drummer. He's a singer. He's a guitar player. He's a songwriter. He's captured the imagination of a generation of us here in Portland. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Parkhurst, everybody. Let's
Ladies, yeah,
Love
Keith.
you, Kevin.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
See you guys.
Joff.
Cheers.
5-star. Keith Parkhurst.
Hey there, Kev. How are you?
I'm great, man. How was that? Was that a good introduction for you?
I couldn't ask for something better.
He's yeah, man. Everybody's a Keith Parkhurst fan, and it's nice to be able to share our fanaticism with about Joff Mets too. So look at that, man. That 5-star logo is fantastic. That's some vintage. Does that glow in the dark?
It does not.
Okay, it looks like.
Joff, take a note.
Yeah, look at that. No, there's a Jeep at a 5-star. He's just giving his claps. So let's do this, man. I didn't get a chance to talk about all the stuff that you have going on. So rather than me do it, for those of you that are watching this that don't know, Keith Parkhurst not only is all of the things that Joff mentioned, but you're doing something really cool in the community. You found a way to sort of pivot. I mean, you were doing this, I think, before the pandemic, but this is something you've actually been able to bring some joy and catharsis to people that are struggling with this this time, not being able to see live music and needing some positive outlet. So tell me what you guys have been doing that I got to witness yesterday.
Well, and so in my story, I'm in how many lives do we actually live? I don't know. I'm in a completely different life. It started about a little over 8 years ago. I kind of got booted out from a company I'd worked for almost 30 years. And Cheryl and I made some decisions. And you know what? We're still standing. Anyway, to jump to your question, in 2012, I was going through a lot. I'd worked with a laptop for like 20 years almost. That first laptop I had was black and white,
Yeah.
And I developed bursitis. Bursa really bad, and some things happened. Anyway, on April 1st, April Fool's Day of 2012, as you know, I decided to declare myself a musician. And I started percussion, an amalgamation of percussion in my name. And I'm a drummer, right, for all my life. And I only a few years before then started playing guitar. But I decided it was, in a funny way, I could have never actually planned it. Playing the drums became part of my physical therapy, Kevin. And I kind of pictured myself being the expose of the, he's using the insurance. Look, his shoulder doesn't hurt. Wild man playing these drums. But in a weird way, somehow things came around, and I was very persistent. I didn't like where Western medicine left me, and so I kind of made my own program. And along the way, I got with a physical therapist and a shoulder doc at HSU, and we were working on my weight. I weighed 100 pounds more than I did now.
Oh my God.
I taught myself how to cook, and I was really good at barbecue, so I got pretty fat, short, fat, balding office worker. And the physical therapist, we were working on, diet and obviously the shoulder. But she said, we really need to get you exercising anything you like to do. And I said, well, I used to play the drums a lot, but I have to, threaten keystrokes. And keystrokes, as long as I could type every day, was as long as I could do my job effectively. So I got into 7 different bands, had a whole bunch of, every day I would, from hand percussion to, rock kits and everything in between. Some of it would be at my house, so I didn't have to bring anything. Sometimes I'd be going out to Bethany to play with a friend of mine for rehearsal there. Had to make sure to pack the equipment van every day. And so in that, I met a really great musician woman named Trace Wyron. And Trace and I, we do gigs. She's amazing, actually, just an amazing player. Pure, just plays. And so we would do gigs.
Hold tight. I'm going to interrupt you for a sec. your story's getting cool. It's a little bit quiet. Are you able to turn your volume up just a hair?
Can you hear me now?
That's it. There we go. Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
I'm in this fancy Zoom room, and we're about to get to why I'm in this fancy Zoom room. And so with Trace, she worked on me for like probably 2 months, and then finally she said, "Hey, Keith, you know, there's this thing I'm doing on Mondays that I think you'd really like. Why don't you come with me?" And so I finally, me and a hand drum and a shaker showed up at the Day Theater, and that's a connection we have too, right?
Yeah.
And so I show up at the Day Theater, and it's a group that her and a partner, Ann Tillinghast, were putting together, and Sarah. And it worked with stroke survivors, and it's community music-based music. It's a circle, and we would hand out shakers, and people were playing guitars, and just whatever you could do. A lot of ukuleles, and so the Backstrokes is for stroke survivors and brain injury survivors, and it was just an amazing hour that I spent playing with these folks. And so she said, "Hey, you know, we go to this other thing in the afternoon on Monday," and it was a skilled nursing, and it was more performed than circle, but we tried again. They would involve everybody, and it was just, wow, dude, it captured me. And 8 years later, I'm still going. And
8 years.
Going. 8 years.
Wow.
And like I said, I started off with a hand drum and a shaker and singing and participating with it. I play the guitar, me and my partner, Ann Tillinghast. And we were able to, you know, when Trace left, I decided I stepped up, and I said, "Well, Ann, you know, I've been playing the guitar. I'm just, you know, I'm an open chord. I'm simple guitar player." And I said, "But I'll try to do that and lead the groups." And through the grace of the Backstrokes themselves, and I was able to feel comfortable, because I'm kind of afraid. You know, we're insecure beasts. You have to put yourself in a different place to do it sometimes. But there was a lot of people counting on this. This is a really cool thing, and I mean, I'd like to make sure that if anybody if this is out to you all, anyone you know that's dealing with stroke or brain injury, look us up, the Backstrokes here in Portland, Oregon. And in fact, we won Support Group of the Year a few years ago from the National Stroke Association. And I'm so proud and so honored to be able to work with these people. So we would do, every Monday, I'd do Backstrokes, and I would go to the home that I did every Monday. I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
Outside in the cold. And so I was probably doing I would do some of them by myself, but there's probably 25, I guess we call them gigs, a month that I was doing. And so the last place I played a facility was, what would it be, like March 9th or 10th, whatever. And it's the place I go every Monday. It's Port Haven in Portland. And they had the questionnaire, and they took my temperature, and by March 13th, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
As we all know. So Backstrokes, and just said, "Hey, Keith, what if we tried to do this with Zoom?" And so we are. And that's what you were able to come and join us with. We have, and we will go back when we can all meet in a group again. We were at a place called Tabor Space in Southeast Portland. But there's definitely, that's way better to be together. But what the Zoom thing does is it actually has opened it up. You could come from anywhere and join our group. And we have a couple of people that come from San Jose every week. It is really, really, really gratifying, that I've got these people supporting me doing this thing. And you know what you get good at? What you do. So I got my own little style, but it's what I do, and they seem to like it. And
you were a rock star, man. I'm telling you. I watched it yesterday, and I couldn't tell where all the people were coming in from. But you mentioned San Jose.
A lot of
They're
people from Portland and
right, yeah, but you could tell, man, that they depend on that interaction with you every week. It was really cool, man, and you're really good about engaging them and having them participate. Um, you know, before that, because I guess you said you did it 8 years. So I'm trying to think about when we first met. This is a really fun story, right? Uh, oh man, somebody's like making fun of my eyebrows, my eyebrow rock. Sorry, but see, Keith is interesting. Do you remember? I mean, I'm sure you remember the first time we got to meet, right?
it was a drum off at Guitar Center, and you were judging, and you actually told me that night, man, I don't like doing this. I hate saying one cat is better than another cat.
That's exactly, yeah.
Dude, I fell in love that night. And look,
Yeah. We sat down after the drum off, you and Cheryl, and you were talking to me about, it's time for a new career of mine. And not a career, but you said a new avenue, right? You talked about the layoff from your old job. And we had some similarities, right? Because I left my profession to pursue music in a big way too. There were very few people I knew in the music community, in the music industry, that could do that for a living exclusively. We talked about Tim Ellis at the Day Music Company. Tim Ellis, guitarist in town, influenced so many people. But that guy, I remember telling you, that guy plays like 20 gigs a week. He'd play multiple gigs a day. He'd go do 3 gigs on Saturdays and Sundays. He was a music director at church. He had a recording studio. And I said, be prepared to have to be diverse and do a lot of different things, man, if that's what you wanted to do for music. But I remember that you had this fire, and I was so proud of you, man, to be able to uproot, like this, because it would have been easy. Well, I don't know, easy. It would have been comfortable for a lot of people to go back into the corporate world where you get the golden handcuffs, right? You got benefits and retirement.
I miss money, but I found more than money.
Yeah.
I want to hold on to it. We'll get to Cheryl Plain. It's a superpower I have, but
Okay, all right. So let's talk about Cheryl Plain. Let's say you had a great paying gig that you had been at for a long time. Great benefits, lots of money. People get stuck and complacent in a job that's comfortable but not fulfilling. And you and I both know, man, if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life, right? So tell me about having a partner, a spouse, the best cheerleader that can support you in a way that doesn't say, you've got to go out there and get that, 6-figure job or whatever. It takes a really special person to be a supporter and somebody that understands how important that is in your blood. So tell me about how she was then, maybe where that came from. And
well, Cheryl and I known each other all of our lives. We're fetal pals.
Okay.
Our parents knew each other from drum and bugle corps, which was where drums come from for me. I grew up around drums. I tried to resist them, but Cheryl and I have been really good friends. She and my girlfriend were my roadies when I was in high school in my band Triax, my first really cool band. And I'm a slow learner, so we've been an item for 23 years now, I think it is.
Sorry, ladies, he's taken. Well taken.
But so Cheryl is so comfortable being Cheryl, right?
Yeah.
That we decided together when we got married. No, you're Cheryl Blaine. You have an identity, and she's has a very strong sense of who she is, and that helps a lot to be with an insecure dude like me. But it was a hard thing, man.
Yeah.
I used to be the guy that could buy the round, and now if Keith is a good boy, I get a milkshake.
Yeah.
Whole mindset thing. I had 6 months of severance, so we were able to practice right away. Day one, I said, we're practicing now because we want to find out in this next 6 months, not after that, right, that we can't do this. Got rid of all of the unsecured credit debt. Amazing. Everybody, you should look at your credit cards if you're paying hundreds a month. Really, and think about that. we have a beach house in Rockaway, and that was Cheryl's dream.
Yeah.
There's no way this plan could include, well, I'm going to play music and we're going to have to sell your dream, you know?
Right.
So it's, what Cheryl did for me was a fantastic thing. She said to me, Keith, we wouldn't have all of this if you hadn't put it here.
Mhm.
So, you know, she gave me some permission to go out and try to be in the black. I actually was in the black, you know, not a lot.
Yeah.
Milkshake still.
Yeah.
But Cheryl is my best friend, and that is actually the secret to the success, kids. Got to be your best friend. I've been in this in the pandemic. I actually get to hang out with a really cool person.
Yeah.
Well, poor Cheryl, but I get to hang out with Cheryl. So, you know, Cheryl's personality and our relationship, just the way that it works, actually, we can go out to, you know, a JFL stuff or whatever, and we don't have to walk around together.
Yeah.
We know we're here somewhere. And see, that's why she sells merch, actually, because I am just like a social butterfly, and I want to hug you, and you know, he's over there somewhere, and she's not very good at not doing anything. So, you know, somebody said, hey, you want to sell some shirts? And one thing led to another. And, you know, she is probably more successful in my business than I am at that point. But, you know.
It's the yin yang.
It's the yin yang. And so the greatest thing, though, is that we both support each other.
Yeah.
And we'll cheer each other on. And
it's a beautiful love story, man. It really is. I've said it from the beginning. And I see that people here in the chat, Keith is the absolute man. Cheryl is just perfection. Kyle Baltus says Cheryl's an angel, one of the sweetest souls he's ever met. It's the truth. You know, and I asked you about that support that you got when it was time to shift gears and just do what you knew in your heart to be the thing that was most important. You know, I think you and I have had this conversation that I feel like whenever I question what my value is or what the meaning of life is for me, I know that we were put on this planet to perform. You and I, you know, I'm saying this, we have a lot in common. When I'm playing drums on stage with my band, interacting with the crowd and with my band, it feels like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, right? Cheryl sees that in you. And when we have a pandemic or when there's kind of a slow time in the industry, Cheryl's the first person that says, hey, Keith, you need to play a gig. I love that about her. You know, sometimes we see, you know, partners of a musician. She's a musician herself, but there are some times where there's a little bit of insecurity from that other partner because they see that you're so fulfilled with music that it's kind of threatening, right? But there's nothing like that. She can see that your heart is full when you play music. And I think that probably enriches your relationship too, you know, because once you're out there performing and playing and filling your cup, her cup gets filled too, you know? I think a lot.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Another cool thing, silver lining, if you will, about the pandemic. Cheryl's a 6th grade teacher, so she teaches from home, right?
Yeah.
She's in the door right across from where I sit in the morning. And I'm not listening in, but you hear the flow, you hear the ebb. And I think I can't be unique in this. We've been able to watch or listen to our spouses do their thing, and man goes, she's good.
Yeah.
And I already knew that, but to hear it, right? And so it's a pretty cool thing. It's a really cool thing.
When you were first playing, you talked about Triax and some of those early bands. Was she out there like helping you schlep gear and coming to your shows and everything
Always.
way back? Yeah.
Always.
I can see that.
Yeah, always.
Okay, so let's go back to that then. Let's talk a little bit because it's really fun. It's almost like looking at a Portland, Oregon history of rock when you talk to you about your bands from early days. I know that there was drumline and marching band experience from you at early childhood. So let's start there. Talk about Dad. Talk about you, and take me to Triax, will you?
Okay. I actually wanted to be a guitar player first.
Okay.
when I was in the 4th grade, my parents got me a Montgomery Ward folk guitar.
Only because 5-Star Guitarist was not around then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
My dad, bless their hearts, but they didn't know anything about guitars, so they went to the catalog and got me a guitar. And I had little pudgy hands, and the neck was way wide, and no success whatsoever. So the next year in the 5th grade, I just bowed to the family legacy and became a drummer, because my brother was a drummer. My dad was a drummer, but my dad actually, I never saw him play the drums himself until I had my first drum set, and only every now and then.
Okay, he's a jazz guy.
So he was a drum and bugle corps and jazz, and but I never. My mom told me the story. She said that he had loaned his drums out to somebody when they were like first married, I believe, and my brother was a baby, and never got them back. Oh. And so, like, he had a hi-hat, a cool old Rogers hi-hat, and so I never really saw him play. So, but 5th grade, I just took it up, and it's not fair. It's not that I had to work at it, right? It was just like something just was there, right? Yeah. And I would do the red book. We did the red book, and we did the blue book in 6th grade, and I could easily get the star on the chart, but I'd watch other guys, and they're just working so hard, and I felt bad for them,
Yeah.
But it was a natural thing.
Okay.
And I'm not very disciplined about studying and practicing everything really hard myself. If I have to do it, if I have to learn something, that's a whole different thing. But I'm not very good. But I will never stop. I'm never the one that says, I'm done. I'm done. Right? So I played a lot. And as 5th grade, when I started, I actually played my first drum gig at the 5th grade spring choir show. And one of the songs, Mrs. King, was really great. She was a really cool lady. And we played The Lion Sleeps Tonight. So I had to do on a little snare drum with the snare down and accompany her on the piano and the choir. So in high school, by the time in middle school, I went to a talent show with my middle school band, and one of the guys there was this 5th grade kid, and he's, this giant kid, he's playing behind his doing his teeth and doing all this Hendrix stuff, amazing original music. Well, me and Joe Ortiz, we met in middle school, and that's where I got into my first band, a band called Ace High, and we had horn players, and we had a singer and keyboard, and his sister was in the band, and who is a fantastic musician to this day, Maria Callahan. So Ace High, we played. There's a picture you'll see on Facebook sometimes of us. It's a black and white picture. We're in a little band shell at Blue Lake Park. And years later, Maria told me, she said, hey, Keith, do you know who was headlining the show we opened on that? I mean, I was a kid, right? And Dad got this gig. And so if we went, Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Oh.
It was the headliner for the Saturday night. It was so I opened for Bachman Turner when I was in 8th grade.
That was the first band that I opened for, the big national band that I ever opened for.
No, I never saw them, or I never knew what was going on. But man, by high school, right, I am a good example of one of those people who, we got to do better about keeping music in school, because I am one of those guys. If I'm there, no matter what it is, whatever's right in front of me is what I'm working on.
Okay.
So I was going to school. All my friends dropped out over time, but I went to school every day because, during football season, in the morning before school, marching band, then symphonic band, play lab band, back up the choir, go home. I had triacs 3 or 4 nights a week in my basement, and drum and bugle corps. Dude, I lived hitting shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you can swear, man. You know what? I'm thinking about you in high school and about the energy, the passion that you have playing. I would imagine you were probably really fun to go to school with because you had so much joy in all these different outlets. Were you?
It was kind of weird. I was one of the hoods, right? It was the
Okay.
second, and I was a head, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, how the quarterback, everybody knows the quarterback. They know who the quarterback is. And I'm
Yeah.
not I'm the quarterback, but I kind of knew everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because I had encountered them in some way. Not all good, but mostly,
Sure.
right? And Kevin, I believe the meaning of life, as I told you, it's relationships. It's you doing the best you can with who and what you have, and I don't know any other reason why we would toil so hard, except for the people that we know
Yeah.
and love. And so I don't know. I'm just a social butterfly, like I say.
And you have been always?
Always.
Okay. Yeah.
I just love people for some reason. I hate them too, but I love them most of the time.
You mentioned hating them. It's funny because people that know you, you got Keithisms. You've always got these little anecdotes or analogies, but your Keithisms relate to oftentimes people that, they may be kind of a dickhead, in the community or something, but rather than judging them out overtly, you just got a little Keithism that kind of labels it, and then you can move on, which is fun. But
they help me focus too, right? On it's like a mission statement on a project plan, right? Who's going to do what by when. But if I make a little, when I was working on my diet, white is bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's true about food and drugs. Doesn't mean to don't do them. It just means if it's white, you need to pay attention. Hey, you know what? That was really the key to my diet: fresh and whole, and white is bad.
Yeah.
White. And so they become little mantras that help me, really.
Sure.
So sometimes they come out to other people.
Speaking of helping you, looks like Jeep from 5 Star Guitars is asking, this is off topic, but is it possible to learn to tune drums? We don't talk a lot about techniques and technical stuff on the show, but it's interesting that he brings that up because you've gotten known in the community for being this incredible drum tech. Aside from the fact that you're on stage and you're this big performer, but you're so helpful all the time that people that are in the they're watching behind the scenes at places like Hairfest in Portland. They may not realize that Keith Parkhurst, he's a drummer first, man. This is not like a crew guy that doesn't really know how to play. The dude's a drummer who happens to be so helpful and gracious that he's out there setting up and tuning the drums and everything like that. So to answer Jeep's question, yes, it's possible to learn to tune drums. But you know what you can't learn is that personality thing that you were just talking about, being a social butterfly and working with your community. You mentioned being that way always, but man, I've never seen somebody have such, everybody reveres Keith Parkhurst because of what you bring. And it's not that you're looking for a pat on the back, certainly not because you're looking for a paycheck, but I'm wondering if people ask you, do you ever get approached at these kind of gigs and say, Keith, why don't you have a band of your own? Or do you ever think about playing?
Oh, I have lots of bands. I do have lots of bands.
I know.
But you gave me the chance to learn that I liked doing the drum tech stuff, right? Because you were having the back problem, and I can't remember what Hairfest it was, maybe 3 or 4, but you said, "Hey Keith, can you help me out tomorrow?" And so I slept your drums up there, and we set them up, and man, that was so much. The next, if there's a handle and that needs to be pick it up and carry it, and so by the end of that first day at Hairfest, after going to help my friend Kevin, Lorenzo says, if you come back tomorrow, want to come back tomorrow, I got a bracelet for you. And so that actually, you gave me, we'll call it a revenue stream, right? Because that's what we have to have, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little. And I found out that I'd like to be sitting in that chair, of course.
Yeah.
But the next best thing is helping you to do the best job you could do up there. So you don't have to worry about it. And I will do almost whatever I need to do. We're talking right stuff. I've actually and so a drummer one time at a Hairfest pulled out some money out of his wallet, and his wife had been trying to chase him down, and he really needed her to get that money. for whatever, I don't know. And he said, Keith, will you do that? And I went and found her, and I delivered the money, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it's going to take so that you don't have to be thinking. Because, we know I this thing happens, boom, the downbeat. And I call it's my nirvana. I call it between the downbeat and the bow.
Right.
And seriously, it is the closest thing to being in the moment that you can ever be. And those of us that know what I'm saying. I mean, it's like you're right there. And if I get off in my thoughts somewhere, I'm not necessarily, if I'm thinking about it, I'm not going to play as well. I'm not going to do it as well.
Right.
So you need to also be able to be comfortable. Another thing I like to take pride in, as you know, is drummers have a yard sale on the stand there. I mean,
right.
So if I want you to go meet fans, you have to trust that I've got your stuff.
Yeah.
And that your stuff is not going to get lost because there are so many moving pieces, right?
Right.
So anyway, I found out that it was fun. It's a great place to watch the show. You don't have to fight with the sweaty mob in the front.
Right.
It's very rewarding.
I was thinking about some of the shows that you've done. I don't mean to interrupt you. I was thinking how much fun you and I have had kind of behind the scenes, like faces we make at each other, and little, just little unspoken things, but that we kind of have. It's a family thing for sure,
And I like to be able to, hey, photographer person, come with me,
Yeah.
Sometimes they can do it themselves, but there are times when you need the golden key, and that's me.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Well, speaking of the downbeat and the bow, between the downbeat and the bow, people haven't gotten to see much live music at all since the pandemic started. If you'd be cool with it, if we take a break from our hang, would you be up for playing a song?
I would.
You would? Awesome. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Before you play your song, I do this on every show. I want you to think in your mind about one question I ask everybody. Do you know what it is?
I do, and I've thought about it.
Okay. Guilty pleasures, right? I want something that everybody that knows Keith would be so surprised to hear that you hang on, and that you either celebrate or you listen to. So you don't have to say it now. We're going to come back to it after your song. What are we going to hear?
So early on in the pandemic, I got the TV running. It's like a grandfather clock. I know the schedule of everything, so I know what time it is, whatever show's on, whether I'm paying attention to. Anyway, they kept on playing this commercial. I'd hear this commercial and I'd hear this hook from this song, and I was like, oh, that's really good. So finally, I had my phone in my hand or something, and I just looked it up, and it's the last time I ever heard the commercial. And hopefully it's enough on my own. It's not, but I don't want you to be in trouble.
Yeah.
But it has become my theme song for the pandemic, and I play it with the Backstrokes. We play it. They've learned it. We play it at our skilled nursing center that we go to, and they sing along now with me. And it's a song called "How Bad We Need Each Other."
I love How Bad We Need Each Other.
How bad we need.
If people, I'm going to put your link up in a second. If people want to find out about the Backstrokes, so they can find out about any shows or events you're doing, I'll make sure that I add the Facebook link here below. I'm going to take myself off camera for a second. And if you guys are watching this right now, if you're on Facebook, I want you to go over to the YouTube link. Go to youtube.com/allaccesslive with Kevin Rankin. I'll paste it here in the chat. I want you to subscribe to this channel because you're going to be able to go back. You can watch this performance. You're going to see archives of 144 other shows. You'll check out the show that I got tomorrow with Chris Brown and his trio. Well, it's just Chris tomorrow, but we're going to talk about being Mel Brown's kid and what it's like to grow up in the shadow of a drummer, which you know, Keith.
Actually, I got to say something about
that.
I was stupid when I was 50. Remember when I was telling you about all that stuff drumming I was doing?
Yeah.
And my dad was a drummer, right?
Mm-hmm.
My dad got me lessons with Mel Brown when he had the shop down on Union. And Mel, he had the high heels and I was borrowing a bass drum pedal from the school every weekend because I'd seen Neil Peart.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't interested at the time in what Mel was trying to teach me, and regret's a big word. Yeah, but whatever it is, just close to it. I wish I would have paid better attention because I didn't stay with it, and my dad gave me. I mean, that was a gift. And anyway,
You're paying attention now. He's amazing. All right. So speaking of amazing, here's Keith Parkhurst, and this is his pandemic song. So I'm going to go off air and put his link. See you back in a second, buddy.
Okay. I don't know about amazing. I'm just a hack. I gotta get this. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. I'm a campfire music player. Life is too far to walk alone. You can't do it on your own. It's like bare hands digging through snow. And if things go down much steeper hills, even money won't pay these bills. Time will show. People gonna be okay. Storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. And the trials of today, they are the signs along the way to remind us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. Do, ba do, 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 do. You know I get so high on myself sometimes that I keep on drifting a million miles from this planet. What a shame it would be to look back onto our lives and realize I've taken you and me for granted. I ain't gonna do it, baby. People gonna be okay. Storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. And the trials of today, they are the signs along the way to remind us how bad we need each other. Don't you know how bad we need each other? And I cannot see what's a mile around the bend. I do not know where this world is headed or where it may. But you gave me this smile, so I threw away my frown. And I ain't gonna pick up what I just put down. The people gonna be okay. Storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. And the trials of today, they are the signs along the way to remind us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. Say, the people gonna be okay. Storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. Don't you know how bad we need each other? And the trials of today, they are the signs along the way to remind us how bad we need each other. Don't you know how bad we need each other? Gonna take a little time to sit, because the wisest men forget how badly we need each other. Don't you know how bad we need each other? Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Joff loves this, and I love this. Cha, cha, cha.
Yes, that is awesome. Cha cha cha. You know what, man? One of what? Thank you so much, man. That was amazing. One of the things that Jeff Jordan here was saying, or not Jeff Jordan in chat, was saying, I hope 15-year-old today would be proud of you today. That's something that I can honestly say without a doubt. Having known you for about a decade, I'm so proud of the resilience and the encouragement that you provided everybody else. You talked about being on stage, trying to make sure that everybody else's job is stress-free and so much better. Man, what a message of service. I mean, that has totally been you and Cheryl. I mean, as far as I've known both of you guys, you are so deeply rooted in service and providing joy and comfort to people that are less fortunate. I'm proud of who you are. I know 15-year-old Keith would have been. So do you feel like, if you look back at 15-year-old Keith, that you'd look at your life and say, I did it right, man?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
And even not good was learning experiences, right?
Sure.
And like I was saying, I don't know what life I'm on, but it seems like there's just so many, right? We all have a lot of different lives in this thing called our lives.
Yeah.
So many different distinct phases. Even in the almost 30 years that I was in the corporate America, there was distinct stages of that where I was different roles, but not the different person, right?
Yeah.
And surely as we age, we do, with those experiences, hopefully I'm not, they say a leopard can't change its spots, but I'm here to tell you, I'm happy I ain't a fucking leopard.
Yeah.
But I can-
Drop it, man. It's all good. You can say whatever you want.
I'm not a leopard. And
Yeah.
I hope I'm going to be learning as I take my dying breath. I'm going to be one more thing. I would love that, because actually the purpose, right? Learning things and staying engaged. One thing that's so cool about music is there is virtually no end
Right.
to what you can learn.
Yeah.
Like I say, I played this now for 14 years, right? I'm a drummer. This is just a drum with notes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It used to be something to kind of hold in front of me, right? But I'm going to learn how to play the piano next. That's my next thing. I even have a piano. It's an 1877 Schoninger that's been in the family for 5 generations. It was a toy we pounded on when I was a kid, but I've learned its history recently. I own it now, and it came from Iowa on a buggy. I found out my great-great-grandfather sold buggies in Iowa, and when the car put them out of business, they came out west. And anyway, I'm not going to learn. I don't want to learn too much,
Yeah.
But you can pull whatever string it is, right? Even as just to play drums, right?
Yeah.
Everything from hand percussion to there's just no end. There is just no end. And actually, one of the things that 15-year-old Keith didn't know that I learned along the way from a friend, actually a guy named Terry Sparks, rest in peace, actually blew my mind open. I was in a band we had one gig, but I met this guy, and he was a one-man band guy, and me and him would do gigs together, and I'd play drums and do background singing. And at this point, my latest life, the last 8 years, I mean, I have hundreds of songs that I play campfire style Keith too, right?
Yeah.
But if I can figure it out and somebody wants to hear it, I'm going to play it, right? And so Terry, actually, what he gave me was I actually learned it's all music. it's all just music.
Right.
And one of my favorite things to do in this incarnation of Keith is fill in as a substitute drummer. And I'm not very versed in, I don't have a great stereo. I don't have, I mean, I you put it in front of me, and if it interests me, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Yeah.
There's some problems, but
Yeah.
it's may be successful too. That's another Keithism. But um, I forgot where I was going because I'm just like, you got me.
Well, it's okay. You know what? As you were talking here, I saw 3 posts in the chat that I need to address. Number one, not Jeff Jordan was saying, things are so hard right now. I work retail. I get sad a lot. I feel so sad that music heals. It's so global and personal. What you're doing is so important. Man, Jeff, you're in the right place. Keith and I have had this kind of conversation offline a lot. The pandemic has been so difficult for people, and music is the only thing that has brought us through it all. And not just pandemic, man, but pre-pandemic, when times got hard. Playing music, listening to music, celebrating music, being with music in some way has been the outlet. Larry King has said, man, he can't watch what you just did without a tear in his eye. Yeah, we need each other, and we need music. And there's got to be a way that we can all still stay together this way, with music and with community. Community is so important. You're doing it. I mean, the Backstrokes are doing it. You've also, you've got a lot of friends in Water Buffaloes and your band that are here in the chat. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this band. Yeah, hoorah, where is ooh wah wah? Yeah, that's right. Ooh wah wah. Is that right? Like the Water Buffalo sign.
Yeah.
Tell me about that band, because it seems to me like that band is all about sharing and celebrating that love of music, what we need from each other, and no pretense about anything else other than enjoying it, celebrating it, and communicating that message. So tell me about the history of Water Buffaloes and the band that the lineup in that band.
So I actually, when I started cooking, I was a geek guy, right? And so I started working on news groups, and just messing around with them, right? And I got on alt-rec barbecue. And so the next thing you know, I own a nice, beautiful ceramic cooker. It's beautiful. It's called a Commodore. A lot of people have big green eggs. It's like a beautiful Fabergé egg. It's
Okay.
all blue tile, beautiful. So anyway, I was cooking. I taught myself how to cook, and we moved into this house where I'm at today, the Flying Pig, in Southeast Portland. And Cheryl and I decided I was gonna cook a prime rib, smoker on the smoker, and I was gonna make for all my friends, right? So we invited our friends over, and on New Year's Eve, it was a New Year's party, and afterwards we retired to the basement where we had a hack session jam, right? And it became a tradition. We did it, and this past one was the last one. Hopefully, we'll do it again. But my friends would come over, and they would spend the weekend here. I mean, we'd be together for days. But after dinner until midnight became what is how the Water Buffaloes started. So
Over barbecue.
after
Okay.
big barbecue. Ooh.
Yeah.
And so the Water Buffaloes was the genesis there, but over time, Tony, my friend Tony Prophet, the singer of the Water Buffaloes, and Tony was also playing a lot more guitar then because it was me and him jamming most of the time, right, with whoever was showing up. And Tony says, so we had Water Buffaloes going. Tony says, you know why Fred and Barney get to go to the lodge meetings? And I said, no, Tony. And he said, because it's on the calendar. And I said, well, what are you saying? He said, we just need to put it on the calendar, and then Betty and Wilma will let us do it. And so we started off doing it once a month. And the group that was getting together, we would come for that night. And at the end of that, we would all say when we were available, and we would schedule the next month. And so there was a guy that I knew from what I call the leper colony, which is the ashtray at the place I worked. And I talked to this guy. he was a contractor working for one of the software groups, and I talked to this guy every day for probably 3 years, and he bought himself a new SG for Christmas, right? He said, so, we've been talking about it. And so January 25th of that year, whatever year it was, he came over, and I called an old bass player friend of mine, and he said, hey, this guy, plays guitar. He said, oh yeah, I remember playing at his basement, right? Oh yeah. So this group came together, and it was like just magic. It was Tony Prophet, Jeff Stevens, and Troy Hayner, and Mike McGrady, and myself. And the Water Buffaloes, we started getting together every Thursday at this time. Every Thursday was Water Buffalo night. It was just on the calendar, right? And what the big rule for the Water Buffaloes, if you show up, you get to play.
Yeah.
And so, I had this core of people, but whoever would wanted to come over, I'd have lots of guitar players, sometimes different people come over. It became this really, really great ambassador kind of thing. I was working with research and development at the company I was at. And so we had, people come from all over the place, all over the world, really. And if you talk to me for 5 minutes, we're going to talk about music. It's just all kind of been, it's going to get to music somehow.
Yeah.
And so, I've had at one time our company acquired a company from England, and I saw this guy standing there. He had hair down to his butt, and I said, "Hey, do you play?" "I play guitar, mate." And so then another guy came over. I happened to have a little electronic piano that a friend, one of my engineers, had just given me. It's like jam with that. Whoever they could come over, and the Water Buffaloes it was magic. Anybody could come and play. And I would tell them, you got 10 seconds to pick a song, or Tony's going to start playing something.
Oh my God.
So anyway, we're just, it was all just about love for guitar rock,
Yeah.
We used to call that stuff heavy metal, but now heavy metal actually doesn't mean that. It's hard rock though, right? But when we were inventing it back there in the 70s,
right,
it was hard. It was heavy metal.
Yep.
So they were always so gracious with anybody I would bring over. And there was a guy who would come into town from Chicago on a regular basis, real smart guy. And he would hook up with me on, hey, I'm coming to town next week. Are the Water Buffaloes on Thursday? And yep, come on over. And so, I don't know.
Yeah,
man. It was a really great band for doing stuff. And we actually, we never really sit down it's not like tribute stuff, right? We was covering it, guys having fun in my basement, and we'd make a joke that, well, that's how they meant to do it, or whatever, right?
Right.
But you get the sense that you're hearing it just like it is, but it really isn't, right? Right. And we're just having a blast, and so that energy comes through, right? And so eventually it's kind of like, I started hearing other bands, and I'm saying to these guys, we're actually pretty good. We should play sometimes, play out. And our first, really, we played a little party for someone who had graduated from mortuary school. That was like, I think, the first actual gig we went to that party. Friend of Tony and Gina's. And
hop on the mic real quick, if you don't mind.
And then we actually, we had this outdoor school was needing to be saved. We were always saving outdoor school. That's how Cheryl and I know Tony. Actually.
Okay. All right.
All from outdoor school. So that past life. And so we put on a show, the Water Buffaloes. We just didn't know we couldn't do it. So we got the room next to the refectory. Remember the refectory?
Of course.
And they had a big banquet room next to it. So we got that, and we had this party, and man, we raised like $2,000 for outdoor school that night. And then Cheryl had a birthday party, and we blew this place up. This place we booked into, they were opening brand new packages of glasses to get, this place was jammed. It was crazy, right?
Yeah.
So never really, we all had jobs. So maybe 3 or 4 times a year we'd play out. And so actually the Water Buffaloes were in a really good position when percussion in my life changed in this way.
Yep.
And through you, I got to know this beautiful JFL family, which, both sides of the stage, all around it. Dude, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, just sidebar, just one little sidebar about that. That first day when you took me to Hairfest, and I'm wandering around behind the wild hair looking at all this stuff, the communications and the power and everything, and I'm going, whoa, I would work for this guy. So, I get to work for Jason Feldman and talk about just low key, but all the details are covered. So that's
right.
a giant thing. Now that I took myself on a sidebar, I forgot where the main bar was.
Well, you were talking about work, all the outdoor school benefits and what you were doing with Tony and how the Water Buffaloes would do. It's amazing opportunities to get.
Thing, right? Because we played. We had a great long set list of lots of great double guitar. At this point, Tony's we let him play, but really, mostly we want him out in front,
He's a good front man.
He's a great front man.
Yeah,
he's so much fun, and so with the JFL Association, we were able to be put with all kinds of different bands, and we just wouldn't play. Like when we got to play a killer gig at Billy Blues with Shoot to Thrill.
That's right.
Man, we blew that place up that
Yeah,
night.
you did.
We just had to say, we do have AC/DC on it, but we won't play any.
Right.
And it's really cool, So that was a super fantastic symbiosis that came together, right?
Yep. Cheryl just mentioned we put on a show. That is the truth, man. That Corey Minger is asking if Water Buffaloes opened for Black Crowes at the Crystal. Did you guys open that show?
No, that wasn't us.
Not us. Well, it's a perfect band to work with so many different bands in town, because you mentioned heavy metal. You guys have such a wide diversity of music. You're not pigeonholed with anything, which is cool. The show is great. The energy that you communicate is so positive, and I think that goes for any band that you play in. I've seen that, man. This is really cool. A lot of people that hadn't seen you before getting to know a little bit about Keith Parkhurst here. Let's get to know a little bit more about Keith. Let's talk about your guilty pleasure. You've had some time to think about it. This part of the show, I ask somebody what might surprise those that know him, either through something you listen to or something that you. Well, I will say one commonality that we have, being partiers, man, having done this music career for most of our life, we've got one thing that we celebrate at the end of every gig. I gotta have a chocolate milk.
Chocolate milkshake.
Yep, that's right, man. I gotta have chocolate milk or a chocolate milkshake.
My favorite is a chocolate malt, and they're rare these days.
Yep.
Dairy Queen, yes, they do chocolate malt.
Chocolate
shake everywhere. I call chocolate milk methadone.
Yeah.
You're really, bro. You can't. Yeah.
Oh my God, Larry King's talking about Bad Ellie. We had a Bad Ellie episode. Here's what you do. Larry King, you're already on YouTube. Jeff Jordan, all these other people that are watching right now, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitch or anything else, subscribe to this channel, because you can look back at the Bad Ellie episode that we had. So youtube.com/All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. You can see everything you want to know about Bad Ellie. All right.
Bad Ellie's bad. Let me tell you.
I can't tell you how much I love that band.
That's my original band. Dude.
That's right. That's right.
There's a lot of bigotry in music, right? No, you're not the purist. You need, don't play cover music or tributes or,
right.
Dude, Triax was a mainly original band. We were amazingly a hit. We did 9 songs in a day because we didn't know we were not supposed to be able to do that. We accepted some mistakes. There was a stick click whenever I listened to it in one song that I never can't hear, right?
Yeah.
We said Rose City Rocks was my next band after that, and we were doing really well. We would play those Battle of the Bands down at the Starry Night there, and as long as I didn't walk in and see Dean Castronova's big monster, we had a shot.
Right.
Wild Dogs were so good.
Of course.
They always was. Anyway.
Guilty pleasure. You got to give it to me.
Guilty pleasure. It's all music to me, right?
Okay. Yep.
That is actually a maturity to it that got there. When I was in Triax and I was totally heavy metal, didn't even want to take lesson from Mel Brown. I actually was, because of Drum and Bugle Corps, I got to tell you, I'd throw on that Earth, Wind, and Fire live.
Oh yeah.
God, you're happy at that point. But that's not what I've learned. Actually, this is my guilty pleasure, I decided. And it's all because of what I do here. Cowboy music, a guy and a guitar. Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in, which is
Oh yeah.
it's and all the cowboy music works. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. It's a guilty pleasure. Hank Williams stuff.
Oh yeah.
Dude. And I don't, country music, modern country music is really a rock show.
Yep.
Point, right? Garth turned it into a rock show, and that's cool. But I never knew how much I would dig that,
Yeah.
cowboy music.
There's there's nostalgia. Yeah. Oh my God.
Right?
There's nostalgia. You think about being a kid. Even if you are a kid right now, I think there's a lot of new movies, Netflix series, and that kind of thing that celebrate the genre. What I'd love to do is just I've been getting a bunch of notices as we're sitting here talking about back home where you're at right now. It's snowing. You got snow outside your window.
I am looking out a window here.
Yeah.
To my backyard, which is trees, and I've been watching it snow. It actually started about 10 minutes before we got on the call.
Okay, I've got about 20 text messages. And so, guys, if you're watching this from any place around the world, I know that my friend Claudia, she was on Germany. We got my friends in Australia on. But I'm just going to, I know this is horrible to do.
Clean water, somebody said that.
Oh, cool, clean water. Yeah. I'm going to have you play one more song before we finish. But I want to share something with you because you're sitting watching the snow. And this is what I get. All right.
Probably not snow there.
No, let's see. Can you? Yeah, baby. That I'm in Mazatlan right now, so I'm going to bring you out to share with you this view. So we're 17 stories up. Let's see. There's our pool. Let's see. Right that way. Woo! Okay, there it is. And then look at that. Boom.
Man.
Yeah, it's this is a much needed escape that my great friend Mike May got us out down here, and I didn't want to miss out on time with Keith Parkhurst by sticking around. Sorry about that, Jeff. Yeah, so it's a son of a yeah, man. But you know what? Best part of my day here in Mazatlan is getting to see you. So let's do this. Let's first. I just want to celebrate you, man, because you mean so much to me, not just in the music community, but you've been there as a cheerleader for me. You've been an incredible support system. You've been my brother. You've been that way for a lot of people. But for me, man, I got to tell you, I owe you so much of my sanity and my heart. So I appreciate that. And I'd say the same thing about Cheryl. Let's
mutual.
God. Oh, thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. He said that he's happy I got out of here. Yeah, I needed to get out of here, out of Portland for a little bit. But let's close this time. It's funny when people that get to know me know that I've saved my sanity by being out in the woods lately. I kind of find like solace or serenity, in just being able to have quiet. And you and I as drummers have just sought sort of chaos, loud noise, loud, sort of experiences most of our life. But you, with your guitar in sleepy, snow-covered Southeast Portland, and those sweet dogs, I'd love to hear something comforting that you might play that might bring some other serenity to somebody else. Can you do that, or is it just are you in the mood for something upbeat?
I don't know what I'm in the mood for. I am in the mood for not getting you in trouble.
Nah, you're not going to get me in trouble. You can play me out and just in whatever you feel like. But it's it's a special thing to get to hear you play. And for those of us that haven't gotten to see live music for a long time, man, this is just a nice break, you know.
Well, Kevin, one thing I wanted to touch, we started touching on it, but about happy energy and bringing that joy. I know you and I are both smiling drummers, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, and we get criticized kind of for being happy in our happy space because we're not looking to look or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that positive energy is the reason I'm here, there, wherever that is. You're not there to feel bad.
Yeah.
You're there to feel good. And if I bring bad, I found out actually it was a terrible thing when I found out if I didn't bring the right energy, especially in like the community music stuff, right? It came through and everybody else got it. So luckily, if I can put into this place, right? It's about positive energy.
Amen. Amen.
Positive energy.
I agree.
And that's, you know what? I'm not a virtuoso at anything except I want to be a campfire virtuoso. I want people to want to, sing. There's, I've watched you with thousands of people singing back at you, right? It's an amazing thing. One of the most amazing music experiences I witnessed was I was at a Pink Floyd concert in DC, Division Bell tour, and 50,000 people sang "Wish You Were Here."
Wow.
Oh my gosh. And so this is a community thing, right? There's the people on the stage. That's another thing. The people who don't know, when a band gets clicked in and there's this space where you don't even have to talk.
Yeah.
And just go choo, 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 choo. I don't know. I do best when I forget that you're there in a way and, them.
Yeah.
Just let that go.
Yeah.
So if I'm thinking, I don't know. So I think the nicest thing that was ever said to me musically was a guy that told me there are drummers and there are musicians that play the drums. Now, I consider myself a drummer, but when I learned how to play this, even rudimentarily, I became a better drummer. The first time I called out to the band, E minor, yeah, and we played a song, I was like, whoa, what power, right? And we have a lot of power. We bring people down, or we can try to help them for that moment, if nothing else, of respite, of good energy. And so I only want to be good energy. Don't get me wrong. I'm a dickhead. I'm an asshole.
We can be, all of us.
Yeah. But really, I don't ever want to be, my mom, when my dad was in a coma, and that's a whole other story, but she was, we're all crying, and she's standing there next to the bed, and I kind of called her out, like, dude, your husband, and she says, just because I'm sad doesn't mean I have to, I don't know, tell everybody else or whatever, right? So in a way, I don't know. I just want to be, it's important. I really recently realized that actually this energy around me can affect other people.
Yeah.
And so with that, with realizing that, I feel like I have some responsibility to try not to let it be the wrong energy.
Right.
So that's another mantra.
Yeah.
I'm successful, but that is what I intend to be. I want to be your friend. I really do. I want to hug everybody.
I think we have a lot in common that way, pal. You've got a couple of requests out there. I see Cool Water's one that people have been asking for, and Jeff's also asking for, Wish You Were Here. You feel like you play any of one of those?
Well, Cool Water actually is kind of a dirge, You have to be in the right place for that.
How about Wish You Were Here?
I can do Wish You Were Here.
All right.
Remember, disclaim me. be nice out there. It's the whole package, right? And if I mess up my fingers, I just sing harder.
Yeah, you guys can sing along with you. I'm
Please.
gonna have Keith play this out. I'm gonna put his link up here. Hit him up on Facebook, and I'm gonna tell you, Keith, I love you. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And again, subscribe to the channel, you guys. It's really nice to be able to share my friends with you. So, Keith, thank you for being my brother.
Thank you always, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, I love you, brother.
Love you too. All right, here's Keith Parkhurst. Take care, everyone.